What happens on a split squat if someone throws the front leg hip in front of the thorax? And what would happen to the knee and foot when they choose movements with the pelvis over tucked? Basically not stacked. Well, so one thing that I noticed that's very common is you have two issues and with the split squat. And with both of those issues, essentially what happens is you have a loss of that rotation of the sacrum towards the front leg, and you have the pelvis moving as one unit. And there's two ways that happens. One will be as the person descends, the back leg flexes to the nth degree, which is essentially a posterior orientation of the pelvis. So that person could be getting the posterior tilt that we want, but they're probably getting some lumbar spine movement as well, and that creates the back leg flexing too much. You could also see that person shifting backwards to elicit the same effect. The difference would be what the lumbar spine looks like in those cases. If you got someone who's getting the posterior orientation, you're going to see a lot more lumbar flexion. If you got someone who's shifting most of their weight towards the back leg, you might not see that flexion through the lumbar spine. You'll also see a less positive shin angle on the front leg. So with those people, what I end up doing is I'll either shorten the range, or one cue that I'll use sometimes as well is I'll put a foam roller underneath them, and I want them to touch their back knee towards the foam roller as they descend into the split squat. Both of those can work quite a bit, aside from making sure that they're stacking. The other thing that I'll see is sometimes people will do a crazy anterior tilt of the pelvis. A lot of times you'll see what appears to be back leg hyperextension. That's also undesirable because I'm not stacking and I'm not driving the sacral rotation. All I'm doing is anteriorly orienting or tilting the pelvis, which is not going to load the legs the way we want. So for those individuals, you need to do activities that get them reaching forward so you can encourage the stack position and shorten the range. Sometimes doing a front foot elevation split squat, which will help them shift their weight posteriorly, can encourage them to get a better stack. So what you're seeing is a loss of the relative motions that should be happening in the sacrum, and the pelvis is orienting in some wild and crazy direction.